When you purchase pesticides, they need to be transported, stored, and secured in a manner to protect people and the environment. This module will help you understand how to properly store and restrict access to your pesticide storage. You need to understand how to maintain a pesticide inventory to prevent problems associated with excess storage. You also need to understand spill concerns and how to prevent and prepare for spills, and lastly, you must know how to handle waste disposal. Pesticide safety is more than wearing the correct personal protective equipment. Pesticide safety includes security of pesticides. Security is important to limit access to pesticide storage facility to only those people who should have access. Security also means never leaving pesticide containers or sprayers unattended, even during the lunch hour. Safety and security are important when transporting pesticides. Being careless harms everyone. Accidents do occur, and you can imagine the potential harm from something that's highly flammable or highly toxic. Spills and leaks that occur while transporting pesticides can lead to environmental pollution, endangerment of residential areas, and even legal actions. Vehicles passing through a pesticide spill increase the size of the impacted area by moving the pesticide around. But knowing how to respond and by being prepared helps eliminate a community disaster. How often are pesticides moving on our roads? Think about it for a minute. There are at least 7 different opportunities for a pesticide spill to happen in the transportation of a pesticide, and accidents happen. The applicator typically has control of the pesticide from the time they purchase it from the dealer through use or disposal, so there are 5 times when safe and secure handling methods are critical. To help reduce the possibility of a pesticide spill while in transit, make sure vehicles are in proper working order. Use side rails on the truck bed to prevent cargo from falling off the side as you make a turn. Make sure the brakes and steering work. Check the application equipment and bulk tanks, fittings, hoses, and other equipment for leaks, cracks, and defects. And always carry tools in your vehicle in case you need them. Of course, it also helps if you know how to fix your vehicle. Remove all the sharp objects from the transportation vehicle to help protect your cargo. Transporting pesticides in enclosed boxes is the easiest and best method, but it's not always practical. No matter what container you use for transportation, be sure to secure it out of the reach of children, curious adults, and vandals. Never leave pesticides unattended. Keep them under lock and key. Never transport pesticides in the passenger compartment of a vehicle. This makes truck beds convenient for transporting pesticides, but there are a couple of things you need to be aware of. Don't stack the cargo higher than the side of the vehicle. Cargo can move around with sudden starts and stops, or over uneven roads. Make sure containers are secured in place. Any sharp object can puncture or tear the container, so remove all nails, stones, pitchforks, shears, or anything else with sharp edges. Make sure the bed is constructed of something that's easy to clean. Accessibility always amazes me. In fact, if you wandered through the parking lot of a recent pesticide training course, guess what you could find in the parking lot? You guessed right, easy to reach, unsecured pesticides. Remember, if a pesticide spills on the road during transportation, the vehicle owner and operator are responsible. Vehicle owners and operators must know emergency spill response procedures and who to contact for assistance with cleanup. In some locations, the person transporting pesticides may need to have special training or certification, and in some states, you may need to be a certified pesticide applicator. Check your local and state regulations. If you're transporting a load containing hazardous materials, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, you must also receive special driver training and be licensed accordingly. A simple precaution you can take is to outfit your pesticide transportation vehicle so you're prepared in case of a spill. Check the dealer and MSDS to see if the material requires the driver to carry a vehicle manifest for transportation. Carry a copy of the pesticide label and the material safety data sheet. Have a spill kit in the vehicle and make sure that personal protective equipment is part of the spill kit. Outfit each transportation vehicle or its driver with a phone because spill or accidents can occur in very remote locations. Finally, keep a list of emergency phone numbers in an easily accessible location in every vehicle. Look at the containers before you load them into the vehicle. Make sure they're not leaking and that the labels are legible. You may think about using tubs or liners as secondary containment during transportation. If there were a spill, it would be a lot easier to clean up and may reduce other contamination. Remember, the less handling of pesticide containers, the less likelihood that they'll be damaged. Don't forget to secure your load before you take to the roads. You need to think about the weather when you transport pesticides too. Protect your load from large changes in temperature. A waterproof cover helps protect against moisture, which can easily ruin paper containers. When transporting pesticides, remember to always keep them separated from people, animals, food, feed, seed, and plants. Don't transport them with your groceries. And don't transport pesticides in the passenger compartment of your vehicle. Another concern is cross-contamination, so keep herbicides separated from insecticides and fertilizers. To protect from unauthorized access or theft, never leave pesticides, either a shipment or those in a transport vehicle, unattended. If possible, transport pesticides in a locked compartment or container and always secure them out of reach of children. In today's climate, pesticide security is no matter to joke around with. Make sure unauthorized people don't have access. The U.S. Department of Transportation requires vehicles transporting certain hazardous materials be placarded. There aren't many pesticides that fall into this category, but it's important to ask the dealer if your load requires placarding. There are other materials that you may transport that require placarding, items including anhydrous ammonia, other fertilizers, gasoline, propane, diesel, and explosives. Anyone who transports a hazardous material that requires the vehicle have placards must also have a transportation security plan. This plan must include protection against unauthorized access to the vehicle and load, security check for employees, and a security plan for the intended routes of travel. If you need further information on this, contact a Hazardous Materials Information Center. We've discussed how to safely transport pesticides, and now we're going to discuss how to safely store them. An ideal pesticide storage site protects against exposure to people and animals, environmental contamination, product degradation, theft, and vandalism. Never store pesticides in a location where they can be easily accessed by children or other unauthorized people. Make sure your storage site is secure. Lock it up. You should also post warning signs on the outside of the storage facility to let people know that there are potentially dangerous substances stored inside. Post a no smoking sign on the pesticide storage facility, since some pesticides are highly flammable. Locate your storage facility away from wells, water sources, and slopes. Also, avoid areas where runoff and leaching are more likely to occur. This will help reduce the possibility of ground or surface water contamination. Many state and local governments have regulations with minimum required distances between a pesticide storage facility and a water source. A common recommendation is to place the pesticide storage facility at least 50 feet from a well and at least 200 feet from surface water like lakes, rivers, and streams. Check with your state lead agency to make sure you're in compliance with these regulations. Remember, these regulations are there to help protect our surface and groundwater, which may even be your very own drinking water. Although you can't control the weather conditions outside, you do have control over the conditions in your storage facility. The storage facility should be cool and well ventilated. Excessive moisture in the storage facility can cause labels and containers to deteriorate and maybe make some pesticide unusable. Protect your storage facility from large fluctuations in temperature. Some pesticides lose their effectiveness if they are stored in extreme heat or cold. Exhaust fans can be used to reduce the temperature inside the facility and remove any dust and vapors. It's very difficult to see in the dark, and your storage facility should have lighting that's adequate for you to read the pesticide label, spot leaking containers, and clean up spills. Because pesticides volatilize, use spark-proof fixtures and switches. Flooring and shelving materials used in pesticide storage facility should be non-porous. A floor made of wood, soil, or carpet is difficult to decontaminate in the event of a spill. A sealed cement floor with no cracks is good flooring for a storage facility. If you have a drain, slope the floor and make sure the drain connects directly to a containment system for later reuse or disposal. Shelving in the facility should also be made of non-porous materials such as plastic or metal. Store pesticide in their original containers. Never store food, drinks, feed, medication, veterinary supplies, clothing, or personal protective equipment at the pesticide storage site. Always have clean water for decontamination available at the storage site. Pesticide labels must be legible at all times, but things happen. If a label becomes unreadable, take out a permanent marker and mark the container with the trade name, EPA registration number, percentage of active ingredient, signal word, and use classification. With this amount of information, you'll know what's in the container and how poisonous the pesticide is. Then you need to request a replacement label from the dealer or distributor so that the container can be properly labeled. Every year there are accidental pesticide poisonings caused by people storing pesticides in other containers such as soda or juice bottles, milk cartons, or glass jars. All these poisonings can be easily avoided by simply never storing pesticides in anything but their originally labeled containers or a clean alternate pesticide container that can be clearly labeled. Never lend or borrow a pesticide that's not in its original labeled container. Pouring off product into non-labeled, non-pesticide containers poses serious health risks. The only time a pesticide container should be open is when you're measuring. Otherwise, securely close all pesticide containers when you're not using them to help prevent against accidental poisonings and spills. Chemicals should be stored on sturdy metal shelving, with the heaviest containers and liquids on the lowest shelves. All drums and bags should be stored off the floor on top of plastic pallets. Place open bags of dry material in sealable plastic bags or other suitable containers to reduce moisture absorption and reduce the possibility of a spill. Store volatile pesticides separately from the rest of the pesticide storage to reduce cross-contamination. Store bulk and mini-bulk containers on a concrete containment pad. Dike the area to keep any spills confined to the pesticide storage area. The area inside the containment dike should be large enough to hold the contents of the bulk storage, plus an additional volume, which may vary in some states. All drains within the containment area should be hooked up to holding tanks in the storage area. To prevent people and animals from tampering with the area, fence it off. Regularly inspect pesticide containers for leaks, splits, breaks, rust, and corrosion. If you find containers that are in less than optimal condition, put on the appropriate PPE and clean up the container and spill according to label directions. Taking corrective action when the damage is first spotted can help prevent contamination and a large-scale cleanup action. Just like many things, pesticides have a shelf life. Keep an active and accurate inventory of your pesticide storage. Mark each container with the purchase date and when you opened the container. Read the label and follow any directions regarding storage and shelf life. Take a look at the pesticide every once in a while and see if it's beginning to clump, layer, or change color. These may indicate that the product is no longer effective. Poor pest control or crop damage may also indicate the pesticide has deteriorated. To avoid these types of storage problems, avoid storing large quantities of pesticides for long periods of time. Rotate your pesticide inventory and use the older product first. Lastly, buy only what you need for the season. Next year's needs may be very different. Let's go over a few general safety tips to remember when storing pesticides. Keep duplicate copies of labels and MSDS sheets. An MSDS for every product in your pesticide storage facility should be available at the storage site. Have duplicate copies at the facility in case of an emergency. Whenever you're handling pesticide containers, wear PPE. Anything used in handling of pesticides, such as measuring utensils, should be labeled for pesticide use only, so that they're not used for any other purpose. Have a spill plan. It may be a simple procedure noted on a clipboard in the storage facility. Have a spill kit containing an absorbent material such as kitty litter or vermiculite at the pesticide storage site. The spill kit should also have a shovel, broom, and heavy-duty plastic bags to aid in the cleanup and disposal of any pesticide spill. Seed is commonly treated with pesticides, and treated seed is usually brightly colored to serve as a warning that it's treated seed. However, these bright colors can be attractive to children. Handle and store treated seed with the same precautions you take with pesticide storage. Never use treated seed for feed or mix it with untreated seed. The pesticide storage facility should have the following items close at hand: plenty of clean water for decontamination, PPE, a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, and emergency telephone numbers. If you have leftover pesticides, you have hazardous waste. Unrinsed containers are considered full until triple rinsed. Remember, pesticides have a shelf life and outdated products may not be effective. In the last few years, many pesticides have been pulled off the market, and the products you have in your storage facility may no longer be legally used. Keep up to date on federal and state laws. One of the easiest ways to reduce hazardous waste is to use the product before the expiration date. Don't forget to read the storage and disposal section of the label. You must follow all these storage and disposal directions. Triple rinse or pressure rinse all empty pesticide containers immediately and use the container rinse water in the spray batch you're making up. Containers that are not cleaned are considered hazardous waste and must be handled and disposed of as hazardous materials. It just doesn't make sense to skip cleaning containers. Store cleaned containers in a special section of your pesticide storage facility. Properly rinsed pesticide containers can be recycled by your state pesticide container recycling program or the Agricultural Container Recycling Council. Contact your local state agency to find out more information about pesticide container recycling. When you rinse your application equipment, make the initial rinse to the application site. Tank rinse water can be stored in holding tanks for later use as mix water for tank batches. When working with or around pesticides, take all sorts of safety precautions to mitigate risk. This includes site security in and around your storage facility. First, develop a security plan. A good security plan helps safeguard employees, the community, and the environment. It can also reduce your legal risks and insurance costs. A security plan helps reduce vandalism and theft and can improve your relationship with the community. Before you develop a security plan, you need to know what your risks are. To identify your facility's risks, perform a risk assessment. The first part of a risk assessment is to identify your assets. Any business involved in pesticides has the same assets: people, information, and property. People include the employees, the customers, and visitors. Information includes the business information, and property includes the storage facility, the transportation vehicles, application equipment, tanks, mix and load sites, waste collection facilities, and utilities. Any pesticide has the potential to cause severe human, animal, and environmental damage. Security measures can help reduce the possibility of such pesticide misuse from occurring. The first line of defense is the employees. Properly trained employees notice when something suspicious has occurred, or maybe something just doesn't seem right. Let the employees be the eyes and ears of the business. Have all employees complete a training session that at a minimum covers pesticide inventory control, security of facilities and equipment, and emergency preparedness and response. Once you have a security plan, you need to evaluate it to make sure it's meeting your needs. Are the buildings secure against intruders? Are the pesticide application equipment and transportation vehicles secure? Are the business's hiring practices effective for maintaining a secure location? Have employees been properly trained in emergency response? Take the time to evaluate your security plan with a critical eye and make sure it's adequate for your facility. Some few simple things can help prevent problems at your pesticide storage facility. Keep storage areas locked and posted. Keep an updated and accurate inventory and work with local emergency response units. Routinely review, update, and practice emergency response procedures. Keep the emergency telephone list up to date and readable. Require photo ID from people purchasing pesticides and be aware of unknown individuals buying large quantities of pesticides with cash. Remember, employees are the eyes and ears of a business. Ask them to report incidents of bizarre behavior. Restrict access of non-employees. Spills and accidents can happen while transporting pesticides. Make sure your vehicle is in good working order and that the drivers are trained on how to respond to a pesticide accident. Store pesticides in a cool, dry, well-ventilated facility. Lock and post the warning signs on the pesticide storage facility. Heat and moisture can degrade products, and then you have hazardous waste to deal with. Also, keep pesticides in their original containers with legible labels. Keep an up-to-date inventory of all chemicals in your pesticide storage facility. Always follow label instructions for proper disposal. Develop and maintain security and emergency management plans for the storage facility. Train employees in safe pesticide storage and facility security, and work with local authorities in the event of an emergency. Question 1. Which of the following statements are true regarding pesticide storage? 1. The floor of a storage facility should be made of wood for easy cleanup. 2. Treated seed should be stored in a pesticide storage facility. 3. Keeping pesticide storage facilities well ventilated helps to reduce potential pesticide exposures. 4. Pesticides never go bad. A. 2 and 4. B. 1 and 3. C. 1 and 4. D. 2 and 3. Answer: D. 2 and 3. Treated seed should be stored in a pesticide storage facility. Keeping pesticide storage facilities well ventilated helps to reduce potential pesticide exposures. Question 2. When transporting pesticides, A. Always drive with the window open to let the fumes escape from the back seat. B. Drive a beat-up truck in case the pesticides spill. You don't want to get your new truck dirty. C. Secure pesticides and protect against extreme weather conditions. D. Carry your commercial driver's license, which is required for anyone transporting professionally applied pesticides. Answer: C. Secure pesticides and protect against extreme weather conditions. Question 3. Which of the following should be stored separately from the pesticide storage facility? A. MSDS sheets. B. PPE. C. Spill kit. D. Fire extinguisher. Answer: B. PPE. This presentation was authored by Becky Hines, Carrie Foss, Carol Ramsey, and Brett Johnson of Washington State University Urban IPM and Pesticide Safety Education. In addition to sources noted on the image, graphics were provided by the following sources: University of Missouri-Lincoln, Virginia Tech, Washington Department of Ecology, and Washington State University. The presentation material was reviewed by Beth Long, University of Tennessee, Ed Crow, Maryland Department of Agriculture, Jean Kasai, U.S. EPA, and Susan Whitney King, University of Delaware. Narration was provided by Drex Rhodes, Washington State University Information Department.